champ is here. The 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 champ is here.
Welcome to State Champions Podcast, where it is always a celebration. On State Champions Podcast, we discuss people, politics, community, and culture. What would a podcast be? Two great friends, a current coach, a former coach, high school teammates that won not one but two Class A state championships here in Michigan, out of none other than Detroit Cooley High School. I'm your co-captain, Raphael Peterson. To my left and to your right is co-captain George T. Ward. How you doing, boy?
Man, you know I'm good. You know what it is. A wonderful day. 78 degrees, almost 80 degrees, man.
It's crazy here in the D. Such a great day, man. Just enjoying the weather. I had to get outside, get the leaves up and do my thing. But everything, when you have that great weather,
Yeah,
it just makes you feel good. It's like you want to be out on the West Coast somewhere.
ain't no question. I almost felt like we was on the West Coast, man. So it was good today, man.
It was great.
Yep.
Hey, if this is your first time tuning in to State Champions Podcast, you are always in for a treat on State Champions Podcast. What we try to do, we find something to celebrate, and we always give a toast. So get your glass ready because we're going to figure this out, and we're going to toast to something on this episode. And, of course, tonight what we're doing, we're playing part two of the exclusive interview with Kwame Kilpatrick, former Detroit mayor, went to prison, came home, doing some great things. But we're going to look at part two shortly. But gee, I think we probably need to do a little recap of what
Part one,
happened in part one,
Yeah,
man, and
yeah.
just some different things. And I want to make sure that the people at home, you're tuning in, 'cause I'm sure a lot of you forgot maybe what happened. I want to play a couple clips, and then me and you are discussing. We just keep it going and go from there, and make sure you're out there. I think they probably could call in. I think they could call in. I think everything's set, but
That line.
I think the line should be set up. I don't know if it is 313-458-4445. I think it's set up. If not, if it don't go through, send us a little comment and let me know. We'll get it all together. But think about it, G. We had the former mayor right here in the basement.
Yep.
To my right.
The people's mayor.
I'm talking about the people's mayor.
Yeah.
And so that first episode, that part one,
Wow.
I really enjoyed. Of course, we had the pleasure of seeing the whole thing, and we was here.
Yeah.
But just some of the things he was talking about, and I just think it's really a testament of how things really work out when you start to find yourself, if you will.
Indeed.
And so I want to talk. I think this is the first one. We're going to play this particular clip, and let me see. I think this is probably one of the ones I would want to play. Let's see. This is probably. Let's
You know, when I left here, just so everybody know, when I left here, I was just as mad at y'all as y'all was at me. I was very furious. Most men, we don't know where to put hurt. We just put it in the anger box.
Yeah, for sure.
We don't really connect with that. So, my divorce, I tell people this, my divorce from Detroit was far worse than my divorce from my first wife.
Have mercy.
Wow.
That was tough, but no, to leave Detroit, I was a Detroiter to me.
So, G, now think about what Brother Kwame Kilpatrick just said.
Yep.
He said his first marriage was not as bad in terms of the divorce part.
That's right.
He said his divorce from the city of Detroit, G, that means you are a real Detroiter, where you were saying your divorce from Detroit was far worse than divorcing your first wife. I know you got something behind that, G.
Well, when you look at it, for everything that occurred, I think the largest piece, and I'm, we're gonna get to it in part two. He talked a little bit about it, but the divorce from the wife, once everything came out, you could feel the inevitability of that. This may come to an end, but Detroiters, a guy that literally grew up in the neighborhood, a guy that went to school in the neighborhood, a guy that fellowshipped in the neighborhood, what he felt and what he was saying that particular day and how he felt at that time is that the city turned their back on him.
Yeah.
And for everything that he had done for them and everything that, he had tried to do and all the great work he had done, in his mind, he's saying, well, we don't turn our back on our people. And yeah, we'll reprimand you in private, but publicly, we're gonna stand behind you and we're gonna say what we have to say. And we're disappointed. But he looked at everybody and started listening to the lies and the rhetoric. Everything that was said about him obviously was not true. And there were some people who he really, really looked out for, and some people that he really trusted. And he just felt like, wow, city, don't do me like this. So, he felt as if, man, it's over with. But to see him redeem himself is a wonderful thing. But that divorce from the city, I felt him when he said it. I felt him as he sat over there.
Absolutely.
He's still pained by it.
Yeah, for sure.
But I felt exactly what he was talking about.
I mean, and to your point, I just think when you think about that, because of you going through divorce, I've gone through divorce.
Yep.
And to say that, I was like, wow, can you imagine the mindset and the thought process behind it? He was that Detroiter through and through.
Yes.
And of course, again, everybody make mistakes. If you ain't made no mistakes, then, we need to get you in the basement because we got to figure it out on what you're doing.
We got to teach us how to do that.
Teach us how to do that. He made those mistakes. But when I say that again, say it again, he said divorcing the city of Detroit was far worse than his first wife. That's crazy to me. But make sure that everybody that's out there tuning in, make sure you subscribe, like, make sure you comment. Let's see, we got any comments on this first video. Oh, Audrey Watkins said people soon to forget. But that's how it is, Audrey. It's part of the game.
Heavy is the head that wear the crown. We
ain't no
understand
question
that,
about it.
Audrey, and you understand that as well, being a leader yourself. But I think the biggest thing is, being able to, he had to sit down and endure all of that.
Yes.
I think that had to be so tough, and it really showed, and you talked about it during part one, being able to find yourself and being able to find that relationship, reestablish a relationship with the Most High.
Yes.
And I think if you don't find something spiritual during that time, you'll cave in.
Okay.
And, it really exemplifies the relationship that he has with the Most High and how that carried him through, because you divorce your wife, but he's saying, well, at least I got my city. They're going to be behind me. And you look up and they ran too. That's got to be tough.
That's perfect for the next video that we're going to show. Is definitely what you talked about. And everybody take a look at this particular video and watch this. Take a look at this and what he's saying.
I started to pray this prayer
Yes,
while I was
sir.
there. It was
Yes, sir.
Proverbs 21:1. It says there, the heart of the king is in the hand of the Lord, and like the rivers of water, he could turn it whichever way he pleases.
Wow.
And so I started praying that and saying, Lord, turn President Trump's heart towards me.
You think about that. You just led into that. See, this that spiritual connection.
Yes. Yes.
And so a lot of people was asking me, and you heard people through the town and just different places, man, Kwame, the reason why he got out because Donald Trump let him out. Of course, ultimately he had to sign it. He had to sign the forms, but I think you're touching on it, that spiritual connection, finding that solitude in that place and finding that Almighty God and understanding when you are in situations, before you get in those situations, you should be doing those things anyway. But it's just a testament.
Yes.
It's a testament to what can happen, where he said he prayed and he said, I think it was 225, however many days it was, Proverbs 21 verse 1. You think about that, G. Turn the heart of a person. And I think he's going to get into it in his next part, and in part two, where he talked about when he talked to his people, hit the people of Donald Trump, and all those things. And he said, well, what happened and what made President Trump sign and release me? And the guy said, I think I forgot who it was. He said, it seemed like somebody just got to his heart and turned his heart.
Yep.
Man, I tell you that's incredible. But I definitely want to talk about this because this is truly another part that I want to discuss is this. And this is very, very major when you look.
The cherry on the top of all of it is, for my entire life, they were talking about developing the riverfront from bridge to bridge. Yes, so we did the entire riverfront development in 5 years. And what people don't know, it just got the #1 riverfront in the country. Campus Marsh has got the #1 park. We funded the riverfront in 2006 forever. So all the money that's been spent on the riverfront, every phase, every time you see something new down there, that still goes back to the team that was put together back in 2005 and 6. Wow. And I want people to understand that, because there was a lot of people that worked on this thing, and they get all upset when they all, we do that. And listen, we all Detroit.
That's right.
So, we love it that it's happening now, but I do want to give credit what credit is due. Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We needed $5 million to get the Kresge money, the $50 million to be able to fund the riverfront. She got the reprogram money and appropriations and got $5 million to the city of Detroit so we can have a riverfront. Then she reprogrammed money so we can get that train running up and down Woodward. Okay. So although it's the Q train and all of that, and Dan Gilbert put his face on, that was Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick. So
absolutely.
I really, one of the things I don't like is that the people who finish something, the people don't get credit that actually the foundation that started it and put the money in for it. Mm-hmm. And so not me, but I wish Mom's got really to do for what she did for this town. She was the only person that we had on the federal side on the appropriations committee. So most of the things that you're seeing was Carolyn Kilpatrick's rewriting bill, changing, reprocessing money, redirecting money. She did her thing in Washington. And so I wish, I'm giving you my flowers while you're still here.
Oh, no doubt. So when I hear that and I listen to that, for me, it's a little bit more in depth.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you this, G, what I really believe, because a lot of things couldn't happen around, any city, not just Detroit, in any city, if you don't have that funding source, because his mom was in the ranks and she could do her thing and send money back. And as he said, the Detroit riverfront had been funded 2005, 2006, forever.
Yep.
So I really believe this, G. And I don't know if you and I discussed this, but think about this. I believe Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick was the person that they went after.
What do you mean?
I believe that he was just a casualty because he was the mayor of Detroit.
No doubt about
but
it.
When you have that funding coming in, this is what we always need in every community. And anybody understands how you fund projects, you need funders. Local government needs the federal. And because it just so happened to be his mom, I really believe in my heart of hearts, thinking about this.
He was a casualty of war.
He was a casualty of war because they wanted to take that spot and they wanted to divert those funds away from Detroit and Kwame Kilpatrick and what he was doing to make sure that this place was being beautified, the things where we were on a come up and doing some great things. And then you saw after she was gone, somebody took her spot, and I think somebody else in turn ended up taking that person's spot, if I remember correctly. But think about it. If she was still in play and he was still around, I wonder where would the city be? It's a great question.
Well, Ralph, I'm glad you said that. D-Lo Malcolm, man, Alabama State University, Detroit Cody High, CODY, the one and only. I tell you what, Ralph, it's crazy that you said that, because you look at it at that particular time is when we really started to, you would hear whispers.
Yep.
You would hear whispers and you hear the term again, gentrification. You're going to gentrify this thing. And so what was occurring is you have this leadership with this young dynamic mayor. You have this woman in this position. We're getting funding, and the city We done had the Super Bowl, the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
You got all these projects going.
Yes.
And this thing is looking beautiful.
Absolutely.
You know, I just think we can't look at this and deny, I believe, to the obvious.
Yes.
And the obvious is at some point, we did not want that leadership to be in place when this thing revived.
Dang, don't say it, James.
So don't say it, James. Don't say it, James. The reality of it is, as we're looking beautiful now, all this thing was in motion before.
Absolutely.
And so now, you know, someone else will take credit for it. And the tricky part about that for us is we'll even have people in the neighborhood, Russell Woods community where Kwame grew up, Finkel and Hubble, everywhere, will say that it was someone else who did it. But I remember when the play was drawn up.
Okay.
I remember when the play was drawn up. So, yeah, Steve Kerr was the head basketball coach for the Golden State Warriors.
Yes. But Mark Jackson was the actual architect of that program.
Mark Jackson was the architect.
Ain't no question.
Little Chucky down in Tampa Bay was the head football coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they won the Super Bowl.
Oh, for sure.
But what Tony Dungy was able to do. So, you know, I don't think this is something that is new in our community. I just hate that Kwame Malik Kilpatrick gave them the ammunition to do some things. And I know he regrets some things, but we're proud of the brother to see what he's doing now. But we do know what we're looking at in this city of Detroit, and everybody can go downtown and everybody can look in our neighborhoods and look in our parks and say, this is going on. You got to remember, he drew the play up.
Oh, no question about it, Chief. And for sure, you know, just being young, and I think he, in the second part, he's going to talk about that. Being young, you can make those mistakes. And it's just when you're doing it in the public eye. And when you're doing it in the public eye and you are a black man and you are in charge of a city of 700,000 people,
a metropolis,
majority black folk,
wow,
they're not going to let you off the hook.
No,
they're not going to let you off the hook.
And
so it's just going to be interesting. But what we want to do is make sure that, I think, gee, you know, what we're going to do, we're going to put on part two. We're going to stay.
Disco Donnie watching. Disco Donnie.
Yeah, Disco
Hey,
Donnie.
we know you busy, Don, man. So, you know, just at least keep your computer or your phone on, man. We know you got other things.
Oh, yeah, Donnie might be down at TV.
And if he ain't at TV, he at the crib TV, man. He dancing and everything, man.
He getting busy.
Yeah, he doing this thing.
But yeah, so I just think that we got to always remember that. But I think we should do a salute to Kwame Kilpatrick and to, I only called their moms, but Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick. Yeah. And so we salute them every time because we know this city was on its way back and our people had that ability to do it. And sometimes we fall short of the glory, but right now the brother's on the come back. So anyway, I think it's about time for part two. So
part two,
what we can do is this. If we get to a great point and you want to discuss it, or if somebody online, say, y'all want to make a comment like, hold on, let's talk about this piece, go on the chat and say, listen, pause the video because we want to talk about X, Y, and Z.
We can do that. That's why
I think we can do
that.
Heard,
my guy.
I think we'll do that.
I got a question for our listeners. I got a question for our viewers now.
Go ahead.
Kwame Kilpatrick was on his way, and we obviously we feel like, as far as the Manugian Mansion is concerned, the most dynamic mayor that we've ever had is Coleman A. Young, right?
He was that dude,
Coleman Alexander Young. I want you to think about I need you to think about this. Kwame was on his way. Kwame was on his way.
He was on his way where?
When you talk about how beloved, I have a T-shirt with Coleman Young on it with that hat. He got the dial on.
Yeah, no doubt.
I got it.
Killing him.
You're killing him. Kwame was on his way to being the individual that the generation behind us will look at and revere him the way we revered Coleman Young. And to have his whole piece shot down prematurely, for him to contribute to it or whatever the case may have been, it's disheartening because he was on his way definitely to being on the Mount Rushmore.
But see, he definitely is going to do that. And but what happens, it happens all the time. Our leaders are brought down There's sometimes we do some things that, but hey, G, I like it. I like your gear you got on.
Yeah,
All the guys. I'm
Hey.
gonna see if I can get a little shot of G.
hey,
Now look at all of our black leaders
Look at
on. Look, no, he killing them. Man, you got so many on you.
you got Angela Davis.
Angela Davis
Martin
on
Luther
there.
King.
Martin Luther King.
Man, you got all the
Nelson
greats.
Mandela.
Nelson Mandela, obviously, on here. And the hoodie, I wear it. Oh, look at that. We got Lisa B on there. We know her pretty well. She said he was on his way to the White House.
Yeah.
Third Heard said, though, he was going to be the governor. And I want people to remember, and I want people to reflect
Go
back
ahead.
when he spoke at the Democratic National Convention.
Oh, what you talking? Shut down corner.
Shut down corner, Darrell Revis, Lester Hayes. The guy spoke at the Democratic National Convention, and the sense of pride that we all had to feel, unless you're a hater, and if you're a real dude, you don't have that in your body. When he spoke at that convention, I remember thinking, oh my God,
He's on his way.
he's on his way. So again, man, to this brother's going to make an announcement also in part 2 of this that is going to really, really have a lot of people making opinions, and people are going to love it. So y'all just tune in, man, and continue to watch. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the like button, subscribe. State Champions Podcast. We're here to entertain you. We're going to provide some entertainment, but we're here to really educate you.
Oh, for sure. We're going to do that for sure. And so, G, what we're going to do right now, we're going to cut away to part 2. We still going to be in the building. We're going to be listening. We're going to be watching. And we're going to monitor the comments. And we're going to see. We might pause the video as well. Here we go.
Told you that, Kilpatrick. I
Listen
said,
to
now
this,
listen, Ortiz, if you check it, I just got a commutation. Kilpatrick, who told you that? I said the Lord told me. Ortiz.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
He walked away. That was midnight. At 1 o'clock in the morning, he opened the door. He said, who told you got a commutation? I said, I told you the Lord told me. But I'm getting a little more confident. He pulls from behind his back the news and free press. He said, man, they got you on CNN. You just got a commutation.
Cut it out.
That's how I found out. Sitting in an isolation cell on a bed from a CO. He said, you can't have the paper, but read it right quick. And I'm reading the free press article.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, I'm in a tank in Oakdale, Louisiana, reading about talking about me in the paper in Detroit, you free. The warden came at 5 in the morning and said, I'm gonna get you out of here quick and quiet. It's all true. I said, what? You serious? Yes. Right. He opened the door, let me make a phone call. As soon as I called my sister's house, I hear screaming, ah! All these people done drove because they heard about it around 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So my sons come up from Florida to Atlanta, everybody in Atlanta, my mother in there, my father in there, they screaming when I call.
Come on, man.
I said, so this real? I said, well, I don't know if I'm getting out today, because they had already told her, don't tell him nothing about his travel. So Yana was like, oh, yeah, they ain't tell us nothing and all this kind of stuff. So I said, okay, because the warden was she told her, you can only have this car if you don't say that. I ain't noticed till later.
Yeah.
So when I'm about to hang up, I said, so I'll let you know. She said, okay, I'll see you later.
Wow.
And you like, what? Up, and I looked at the warden. He started laughing. I said, I'm about to get up out of here. He said, Mr. Kilpatrick, we're going to take you back to the cell. And I said, all right. I go back to the cell. I said, can I take a shower if I'm leaving today? He said, I'm going to get you a shower before you go. I said, okay. They came back an hour later, talking about, let's go. He talking about, you still want the shower? I said, absolutely not.
No, I'm out to go.
No, if I smell like hell,
I don't care what.
Listen, man, I'm going right now. I don't need no clothes, nothing. I'm ready to sweat. I'm good. I'm good. And I walked out of there.
Man,
wow.
So and I wanted people to hear that story because when I heard it, to me, I was thinking, this is when you understand that it is a supreme being.
Oh, no question.
And so I think it's about time for our toast.
No,
I got it. This going we gonna toast. We gonna toast. You got your water. We can't let you toast it. Look, we gonna toast all the people.
Yeah.
To the release.
To the release.
But then to the Supreme Being Almighty that pulled that off and allowed this story to come full circle.
Let me say this too, Ron.
Okay.
The last 2 years of my time in prison was God truly provoking me to not be ashamed in whom I believe. Man. I was praying
talk about it
and watching the manifestation of it. I remember I was walking around. I was about to file my final appeal to the Supreme Court. I said, let me get it together. This is what I did. I got my paperwork. Everybody knew. It's my time. I'm putting my legal work. And I hear just as clear as I'm talking to y'all, don't file it. I was like, no, I'm filing this. You know, I got to get this. This is the last appeal I have.
Okay.
And so I said, no, I'm not. No. So I hit Bobby on the computer, right? We could talk to each other. I said, man, I'm not filing. I think the Lord don't want me to file. He was like, what, you giving up? Let me shout out to him. You giving up? I said, oh, man, I believe the Lord. He was like, all right, bro. You know, and he was, I could tell he was pissed. So he filed his, and I was up there and I was going crazy. Like, the Lord want me here 28 years. What is that about? When I got out, I was trying to get a number for Trump. They got me a number for Jared Kushner.
Yep. Tell this part of the story.
I called Jared Kushner. How you doing, Kwame? And I asked him, I said, why did y'all do this? I never met him, never talked to him. He said, you know, people came to us from all walks of life, man. We had white people, black people, Democrats, Republicans. He started naming people. I never met none of these people.
Wow.
Ever.
Wow.
Didn't know him. I know him now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I never met him then because I went on a thank you tour. Like, why did y'all do this? He started naming some of the people, Alveda King and Angela King and Atlanta. I'm like, who
are these people?
I don't know who these people. He started naming Alice Johnson. Alice Johnson eventually, you know, I ended up working with Alice, but didn't know her then.
Okay.
And all these people just said, the Lord just put you on our heart. So Jared Kushner said, we had to check 3 things. One, we had to make sure you didn't have any actions filed in any court, even the Supreme Court. Wow. If you would have had an action filed in the court, we'd have said, let the courts handle it.
Wow.
So that day, I'm sitting at the computer in a jail, in a prison, and the Lord say, don't file it. I think I'm going crazy. It took me about 2 hours to really understand I wasn't supposed to do that. But I thought that meant he was settling me down in prison to be a blessing to people in prison. I didn't think that was the reason that I was going to be released. Is that the first step was, does he have any actions in any court? Wow. I said, so Jared, me and my wife listening, my current, my fiance then, I said, so Jared, so if I'd have had a filing in the Supreme Court, y'all wouldn't have did it. He said, no, we would not have gone past that. We would have waited for the court to make the decision. I said, man, that's crazy.
Wow.
So the Lord was continuing to walk me into understanding that I am who I say I am.
No, I am who I say I am. Yeah. And I want to piggyback on that. Then we're gonna switch gears in a quick second. So George and I, we do a lot of work in the city in terms of youth development, mentorship, and things of that nature. And one thing that I can say is when I'm doing group, and if a young man, if something has changed in the young man's life, particularly his dad was removed out of the home forcefully or by choice or whatever it was, there's always some type of negative consequences that comes behind that, whether it's attitude, his behavior.
Yep.
Can you share with us, how did you leaving and returning home, how did it affect the boys? Because I think people need to hear how you got through it. I think I got an idea, but I don't know for sure. But I think I have an idea of how you got through the whole thing, and it was based upon the last thing you're saying. But go ahead and explain, how did you deal with the boys? Because I can imagine, oh my God, leaving, and I'm just going up thinking about the groups, and hey man, let me talk to you. What's going on? And then when you talk to him, my dad, he's going to prison. He's gone. Well, what happened? And it's because I know that's not that kid, but please explain that part of it.
Yes.
And what I went through helped me understand how to help other folks too.
Oh, bad dude.
My sons was pissed at me.
No doubt.
They was the older boys, especially, and my youngest, Jonas at the time, because Jonas felt like he got cheated. You know, I left.
Young boy.
Big fellas was 17.
Young
so
boy.
They did all the stuff, but when you 11,
when
you leave, he felt like I missed all his middle school and all his high school. So that's the thing. So they felt cheated. I remember Jaleel one day, they wouldn't talk to me. They stopped talking to me for a little while, and I'm trying to call him, and I'm like, what's going on with him? And I find out in the hood, different folks, they done dropped out of school, kind of manipulated my mom to get some money to get them an apartment.
Oh, you know how they do it.
And at that time, my ex-wife wasn't really talking to me. So I can't get no information. And it was rough. Jaleel, I finally got them on the phone. I'm like, man, listen, we need to talk. We ain't coming up there, blah, blah, blah. And he told me, you a sorry man. So I said, whoa. And the reason I say that is because we tight now.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
But in that moment, I had to say, you're right, son. Because I had to validate how he felt.
Yeah.
No matter what, I could explain. No, I wasn't.
Hey, man, we had to pause on that.
G.
We had to pause on that one. Now, people, when you listen to what Brother Kwame is saying, he's telling a perspective of a brother going to prison and reintegrating back into his family structure with his young men, his sons. And his son said, "You are a sorry man." Gee, when I hear that it just,
I don't even know.
When we heard it the first time,
we were sitting here.
It still feels the same to this day. But I want to say this, that I think this is really part of this healing part that a lot of our brothers who go to prison, who return home.
Yes, sir. You gotta talk about it.
And they don't understand that when you left, you were not the same person that you are when you return.
And neither are they.
And neither are they. So you have to understand, you have to reintroduce yourself to the family, kids and the entire family. Man, this is one of the, I think, G, by far, not just because who it is, but when you listen at what he's saying, this is probably some of the best information we've had on our show in terms of our returning citizens, our great brothers and sisters who go away and have to come back and have to deal with that family element. What you thinking, G?
And it's crazy because we don't look at him like that.
Yes,
you know
for
what I mean?
sure.
Some people he was the mayor and he messed up. But he had to reestablish his relationships with his family.
With his family, man.
And for everything that we thought and everything that we had our own opinion about the text messages and all that, and about his wife, to hear him say, my son said I was a sorry man. Wow. Brad, you have a son who's a man now. I have 2 adult male children, 34 and 21. If they told me, man, you're a sorry man, I don't even know how
you couldn't control yourself.
I don't even know how I'll respond. And so what it is, this is a testament.
Yes, for sure.
To this brother's ability to lead, because as ironically enough, as my older son, Torian, told me a long time ago, he said, Dad, you have always shown us how we got to conduct ourselves in the middle of adversity. For this man to lead and be able to think in the midst of a storm, and his sons have said to him, man, you're a sorry man. It really shows, and you talked about returning citizens, obviously for the work that we do, and obviously for brothers going to prison has become a part of our culture to a certain degree. Brothers, when you return home, you got to step up. See, the family will be in disarray because of a lack of leadership. In the midst of a storm, you got to be able to take them pellets, you got to be able to take them punches, and you got to be able to sit your family down and deal with your family and reestablish yourself as the leader. Yet, you have to do so while listening to them and hearing them out. So kudos to Kwame, man, because that's a hell of a statement that he just made right there.
And I'm going to add to it, you got to be able to come back and humble yourself. Whoa. This is the most important thing. But Brother Kwame was able to do that because he had been, in my opinion, he had been healed. He learned, but it all goes back to that foundation and praying to the Almighty and understanding, I got this. I got you. I'm going to lead you to what you need to be.
That's right.
And then when you get there, now you got to open up and be able to be, in the words of a lot of our ladies, they always say this, you got to be vulnerable.
You got to be
vulnerable. And that's what the brother was. But we're going to cut back to the video.
Hold on.
Go ahead, G.
Cuz said this, cuz, I wasn't going to cut you out. Kenya Bryant, her rap.
Okay.
Right? She said they don't know how to deal with the kids or the spouse or the community. And I think that is something that we have to be able to do. We got to set our feelings aside, and we can't play the victim.
Yeah, for sure.
And he did not play the victim. Kudos, brother.
Hey, man, it's crazy because what's going on. But now listen, We're gonna cut back to the video and make sure you call a friend, tell a friend, share it, and let them know, hey, it's going down. Part 2, Kwame Kilpatrick exclusive interview on State Champions Podcast.
Like you think, I could have got all.
Didn't even try to do that.
No, you're right, son. Let me explain that to you in your face, though. Let me talk to you in your face. You got the right, because I'm supposed to be at home with you. And so anything that took me away, that's my fault. I need to talk to you. So in prison visiting rooms, over a period of 3 different visits, we started to walk our relationship back. I got them back in school. That was a major thing. You know, I had to get a friend of mine to find them, go to school, Big Emmett. He was like, Emmett about 6'6", about 350. I had him walk up in the school and say, come in, y'all two right there. They were saying that. Emmett got them out of school and drove them from Dallas, Texas to Oklahoma to see me. Wow. And they came in the visiting room and we cried, hugged, prayed, talked. But I told them they had to go back home. They got to get back in school. You know, both of them guys doing so well now. Jaleel has a master's in counseling. He's an elementary school counselor.
You know what I'm saying?
He's the offensive coordinator for the high school there in Florida.
Really?
Yeah, he plays. He played football in college. And then Jelani's a high school coach, and he does the strength and conditioning coaching for the women's sports they had 2. He's at another high school in Florida, so they're doing good. Jonas graduates December, and he's a finalist for a job with. He graduated with a sports marketing and management degree. He's a finalist for a job, 1 or 2 guy. He just had his 3rd interview, so y'all pray for him.
No doubt.
For the Baltimore Ravens, which is his favorite team.
Okay.
So that's the team we're trying to get with right now. So we're going to send some love out to Big Joe, so he can get that gig. But I got graduation to go to on December 12th.
What a blessing.
So it's just, it happened, but it was rough that, we had to start. And then getting home, and let me just finish that.
Yes.
When I got home, remember, I'm only seeing them for a few hours in the visiting room once every other month.
Yes, sir.
So I don't know them. I know them a little bit, but I ain't been seeing them every day. When they left out, they were 17 and 11. I get back, they 25 and 19.
Wow.
Men, grown men, and I'm trying to relate to them like we used to relate to them. So we get into it.
Different people.
When I first get at home, this happened to a lot of cats coming out. They get into it with their family first because their family is expecting them to be the same guy.
Yep.
And then that guy is expecting their family to be the same. Nobody's the same.
Absolutely.
So I'm watching them. They smoking, they blowing, and I'm like, wait, what the hell y'all doing? I'm like, y'all can't do this. Like, 25.
Grown.
I'm like, why y'all okay? Yeah. But knuckleheads in prison, they smoking whatever. And then going out with these guys, and I'm like, so I had to start talking to them about, that kind of stuff. I eventually had to take them away. So the 4 of us, all 3 of them, and we went away for 3 days. We said, when we come back, we're going to be loving each other. And that's what we did. We had all the talks we need to have. We had crime. We had anger. We got it out. We loved on each other. We laughed. We went out to eat. But it was just us for 3 whole days. And we went to Vegas. So none of us gambled, but we just spent time together, walked on the streets, talked about, went to the little malls and different stuff. But for 3 days, we just had ball. We swam, did some stuff together. And that was cool. And it really brought us to the beginning of me understanding I got to treat y'all like men.
Come on, man.
Wow.
And y'all got to understand, I'm not the same cat that I was. First, I'm older. Secondly, man, I'm not trying to run around and grab no chicks and all because they thinking we the same.
Yes, sir.
No, man.
No, man, listen, I'm gonna have a respect for women. I ain't about to be, I'm telling you, I'm about to get married. So I'm gonna be very, very, I'm talking about, I'm not going nowhere outside of me. You see how much that costs y'all? So it's just totally reintroducing myself to them and giving them a chance.
Reintroducing yourself to them.
Yeah, I'm dad, but who is dad? Because everybody's son right now that's out there, I don't care how old they are, and you ain't seen Pops, he ain't been in your life, you really don't know him. But what you create is an idea of who he is based on the conversations you've had with
other people.
Uncles, grandparents, your mama. Wow. Your mama tell you about your dad. And so you got to meet him again for yourself.
For you, that situation, Kwame, for you, and this was crazy. And again, I remember reading. And obviously we had a relationship with you. So it's different. reading some of the things. And the first thing I thought, I remember one morning, I'm at work near where you grew up, and I thought about the boys.
Yeah.
And I thought about being a father, us being
for sure.
dads.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even think about the wife. I'm thinking about your sons. And now you talked about other people having conversations about you. But when the media is having conversations, and again, intellectually, they smart, and now they're in school and everybody knows who they are.
That's right. Everybody. Hey, is this your dad? American greed.
And you
Yes.
come on, man.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah,
and,
that's
and this is the
crazy.
thing about it. You're highly visible. See, that's the thing. You were the mayor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you were highly visible at everything for your sons. And we would see you and we kick it. How did that impact you and impact them? Because I know you had to think about it when you're there. You're like, man, I can't even tell them my side of the story. I can't say nothing right now. And as you said, man, it impacted them. They're upset. They're angry. How long did it take them to get over that part?
You know, one thing I did that they always tell me was pivotal. When the text message stuff was going on, the day before it hit, I took them at 12 years old. I took them to Belle Isle. We walked around Belle Isle, and I told them I messed up.
Mm-hmm.
I said, Daddy had a relationship outside of your mom. I gave them the whole truth. So they had to, in this moment, I said, I need y'all to be men right now because I got to tell you some
12
medical
years
stuff.
old.
Oh,
They appreciate that now.
Wow.
So throughout it, they would ask me, somebody said this, you did this and do that. I said, son, you know, I'll tell you if I
told
did that. I didn't do that. Now, I ain't did nothing. I don't know where they even got that from. But let me just tell you where they probably, when I did this. So throughout it, we were talking. And so I decided then that if it's anybody in the world gonna know the whole story, it's gonna be them.
Yeah.
Because I thought what you thought. While they in school, is somebody bringing up something. I heard your dad did something, and they was doing that to him. They ain't no punk guy. Jelani got a black belt. He MMA, black belt, and all this. So
He a fight.
yeah, that's what you're
He a
getting at.
fight. He one of them guys like to stay in the background. Jaleel going,
Yeah.
yeah. Because he knows Jelani so it was just always that kind of thing. So we got to go to the school. And I just told him to be quiet, Dad. I told him, you're wrong. Be quiet. We don't need to do this. You know, locker room fights, they play ball and all this kind of stuff. So it was trouble, but it wasn't trouble for me. It was trouble on me because I didn't want them to have to go to that. But they always knew the truth. They would come ask questions. Did you ever beat my mom?
Like, man,
I heard you was. I said, man, listen, man. I did a lot of stuff. I ain't no woman.
No.
Ever. I'm not even close. That ain't what I do.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my thing. So, you know, because everybody said and stuff, I was like, come on. So, I mean, anything they felt, I'm just giving that as an example.
Yep.
They felt comfortable to come to me and talk to. And I say that now to all men. You know, our sons are growing up early out there because the streets going to tell them everything.
Mm-hmm.
You just talked to me about in juvenile right now. It's 11, 12, 13-year-olds that's trying to lay people down on the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
The craziest things. You might as well tell them about you.
You better.
Mm-hmm.
Better have them conversations.
No question.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna really quick. I want to talk about what you're doing now, which is I called it, is it momentum?
Movemental. It came from a word that I saw in the book. It said that Jesus didn't come to start a religion. He never did talk about religion. He talked about a movement.
Okay.
And it was a missional movement. So movemental came out of that missional movement of Jesus Christ. And we just say we continue in the movement. We about relationship with him, not religion.
Okay, let's take a look at this. Now we just watched that video. So tell me where do you want to take that? Where do you want to take it and what do you want to do with that?
I think that I want to be what I needed to other people.
Okay.
You know, at 31 years old, you take that job. Now, I knew the politics of the job. I knew the policy. I knew about the appropriations processes of DC and Lansing. I knew how to run.
So if you want to check that video, it kind of skipped through, but you can go to his page and check that out. Movemental Ministries, which is great. We'll play it, but we want to get through this video and keep it going. But when you listen to that brother Kwame right now, to be honest, this is nothing but a journey of healing.
Yep.
Gee, you know what I mean? And when I hear it, I'm just so appreciative because I think this could be some great groundwork for some brothers who coming home.
Yes.
Who struggling with some demons.
Indeed.
And finding themselves and being able to reconnect with the family and do things in a fashion where you say, wow, you know what? I see if Brother Kwame came through it, I can come through it and you can do the same thing. So just remember that. But if you want to go check out his video and what he's doing, Move Mental Ministries is a great thing. He's doing a great job. But we're going to continue through the video because we got to keep it moving.
A campaign. I knew how to do all. I've been doing that since I was 13, 14 years old. But I didn't know how to balance my whole life and have that job.
Gotcha.
I grew up learning that, all men cheat. Ain't no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a huge deal.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
When you start dividing your loyalties, slicing yourself, giving yourself over here, you can't be whole. So I really want to be what I needed at that point, a 31-year-old in an executive position.
Wow.
And I was in an executive position not knowing that if I fell out the chair on the corner of Woodward and Jefferson, it'd be on the news in Dubai.
Wow.
See, I didn't know how big and how much that light is, and how much the heat is in that light at 31. But most people don't. They feel like, man, I'm just a teacher, man. Anybody on me? Okay, man, have sex with one of these little girls.
Oh.
You'll be on national news.
You'll see.
You go.
You're going to see how big you really are. And people really don't understand. They think they hiding.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all good till it ain't.
Yeah.
And that's why I want people to start learning how to be integral before something happens.
Gotcha.
And I think I heard somebody say that your gift and your acumen, it has to grow at the same rate as your integrity and character development. You cannot become all that you dream you want to become, a real estate mogul. I want to be the #1 car this. I want to do this, do this. I want to be the baddest coach in the land. We saw a coach that's making here in Michigan. We saw a coach making $5-7 million a year, and it was over like that.
Yeah. Man.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a good dude, good coach.
No doubt.
Ain't no question about it.
Yes, sir.
But the problem is the character part and the integrity part is what they trampled upon. People should know this. Nobody is going to remember your gift. They're not going to remember. We talked about it earlier. Nobody remember what I did around Detroit.
No.
They're going to remember the flaws that you had in your character.
That's cold.
Because that's the thing that's going to be amplified by all your detractors, and particularly the media.
Yeah.
So the most outstanding thing you did, it could be the riverfront right in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to remember the text message. And so I just want to be what I needed to people and take it around the country. And people are now calling. I'm consulting a few people around the country on it. But I like going in and diagnosing it. I like that because, guys, we from here. So a dude could tell you anything. But like, dude, man, you got to stop
faking.
man.
Stop faking the pump.
I did this. I did this.
Yeah, I know you, man.
You leaving something out.
Yeah.
How'd you know that?
Yeah.
I can see you, bro. Listen, let's talk for real.
Yeah.
I did counseling for the first time when I got to prison. It was this lady, Miss B. She was from Yukon, Oklahoma, too. She was about 6 foot, about 250.
Oh,
big
man.
old white lady, right? And we went to my first counseling session, Christian counseling in the chapel. So I signed up. Nobody else signed up. But I was there every day, and she'd be standing at the door. Well, what about you, Mr. Kilpatrick? You going to sign up? And I was like, I don't want to. I signed up. I went in there, and she asked me some questions. Well, tell me about such and I'm talking, and she took off her glasses. She said, well, you know what? You could either sit here and politic me all day, or we could really try to see what God wants from you. Wow. I said, wow.
I don't want to hear that.
Hold on. Yeah.
I don't want to hear that.
I said, you ain't no cons. That ain't what I saw on TV. You're supposed to ask me questions and let me talk.
Yeah.
You know? She said, no, I don't do that. What we try to do is get to the place where God starts to unearth what's really wrong so we can fix it and we can get healed and delivered and we can move forward powerfully.
Wow.
I was like, wow, that was the best thing I ever did. 12 sessions with that lady changed my life.
Wow. Man, we got to keep going. I know we know you got to get out. But I got to ask a couple more questions because there's going to be a couple questions.
Nobody get me in trouble.
No, listen, tell her you on your way. So listen, So think about this. I gotta ask. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
And so let me ask you this. Obviously, now you've made a transition. So are you Democrat? Are you Republican?
Okay. Neither.
Neither.
There you go.
I'm not a Democrat.
come on.
I'm not a Republican.
Okay.
I'm radically independent. For the first time in my life, I feel free.
Okay.
I fought the Democratic Party, man, since I was 20-something years old, man. They people don't understand. I was on the Democratic National Committee. They never wanted me to be involved. They just couldn't deny it.
Oh,
Okay.
I just had to push myself in the room a lot of times. And I was from Detroit. They needed us so bad. So, a lot of other Detroiters, a lot of the union folks, old school people, they didn't want me involved either. But hey, the Democratic Party, their position is we need to be intricately involved on the political side,
Okay.
but not involved when it's time for the body politic or the policy side. And so the access to capital side.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
The writing bill side.
Yes.
The getting policy out of Washington and Lansing side.
where we're needed.
That's what, hey, listen, if we ain't talking about that, I decided at 26 years old, I saw John Engler and a couple other people go in a room and come back and tell us how we gonna vote on spending the surplus of $370 million. And I sat there and I was like, them 4 people went in that room and that's all I can't talk. And they was like, no. I said, I tell you what, I'm getting in that room.
There you go.
So that's why I ran for leader. I got to get in that room. Some of us, that's why I see Zeke out there doing his thing, New Era.
Yes,
Love
yes.
him, man. Love him. But people say, why you ain't out there like Zeke? That's a gift Zeke got.
Yeah, no doubt.
But Zeke ain't going in the room doing appropriations.
No,
There you go.
no.
So we got to be able to understand we should be working together.
Come on, man. We got to.
Republican, Democrat, crazy. I need to be worried about what's going to happen on Evergreen and Southfield and Finkel and Gratiot. We should be talking. So if I'm over there at the Republican dinner and you over there at the Democratic dinner, we should be talking afterwards. What they talking about?
Let's collaborate.
That's what the Jewish community is doing. That's what the Latino community.
Everybody but us.
That's what the Asian community is doing. That's what the gay community is doing. They in everybody's camp. I went to my first Republican dinner. They had it on TV, and I spoke. Got a standing ovation.
Yeah.
What I noticed there, everybody was there except us.
See what I see? See, Kwame, see, man, this is I'm pissed because you shorten our time. You got to run, but see, this is the thing.
Yeah.
So let me add this. So all right, because what you're talking about is a calling.
Yeah.
And now you come full circle. So my question to you, listen, will you get back into politics?
I used to say no out of pocket. That ain't what I'm now. For about the last 2.5, 3 years, that's all I've been saying. No, I don't want no parts of politics.
You answered the question.
But I think that this is where I am now. I do whatever God say.
There you go.
Because I couldn't shut it down if he says, go ahead. And that's how he works for me. It ain't never like no whole plan. He do me like Abraham. Listen, start walking that way. When you get there, I'm going to tell you.
I'm going to tell you what happened.
I'm going to talk to you then. Just go there, though.
Leave everybody, go that way, and I'll talk to you then, because I didn't want to come back to Detroit. Man, I went to Texas. I went North Carolina. I went
everywhere.
But me and my wife, we just been sitting in Atlanta saying we got to get back. And I'm coming back. I'll be back here in Detroit before the end of the year. I'm trying to get here and spend Christmas in Detroit. So
you know
exclusive, y'all.
Exclusive. Stay tuned, but I gotta listen.
But I tell you this, it's not to be in politics. It's to plant the ministry here.
That ain't your intent.
And so I'm not really interested in politics like that, political office.
Yeah.
I just love engaging government.
See, that's but see, you got to remember
that's what you've always done anyway, really.
But that's really what it's about, especially from Black America's lens. We need to engage government, and this is what's happening. We're losing because I had a conversation with somebody. And I said, we got to get our young people involved in politics in this arena, dealing with the money. We had Hill Harbor came down, and he talked about how much money that is in terms of Congress and the Senate. He said, don't be fooled. Everything goes through the Senate. He said, this money, we have to understand this is appropriations and all of these things. We have to have people that look like us to decipher what is going to happen with this money?
Better say it again.
Listen, the government is $3 trillion.
Mhm.
And after they cut up all of the institutional funding and all that kind of stuff, Social Security and different stuff, Medicare, Medicaid, all these different things, they got a pot of money left that these people, these 535 when you count the 100 senators,
Yes.
they about to decide where that goes.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of them depend on you to get to that position.
See what I'm
You
saying?
better say it again.
And everybody else understands that politics is a contact sport.
Yeah.
It's like playing basketball and never touching nobody.
Yeah, can't do it.
I can't.
Can't do
I
it.
don't do that.
Can't
What
do
I'll
it.
do is cheer and back here
No.
and I'm shoot jumpers. No.
No.
Somebody gonna touch you.
Yeah.
Somebody gonna. So you better hit somebody.
You better figure
You gonna
out
be
if
the
this is
you
a
gonna be the
contact
hammer or you
sport.
gonna be the nail?
Have one or the other.
And
And so this is the issue we have in our community. In our community, we just like to participate on the politics side.
Oh boy.
But when they cutting up $3 trillion, we disappear and we wait for 4 more years to participate
And then say we
again on the
don't.
and then because the media has said those people are racist, these people. Now, I've been working with Republicans since I was 25 years old, up
come on.
close. But I was seeing them with my mother working with them from the time I was 8, 9 years
Yes,
old.
sir.
We used to go to their houses and I used to be like, the Republicans are bad. And the
No,
Democrats
you
are
looking
good.
like
But then something got me. But why are we over Ricky's house?
yeah.
If they're so evil, because a lot of them try to keep that going to keep their votes in place. Republicans do the same thing to their people. That's why you see a lot of the right people, that white folks that I hate cities, I hate Detroit.
Yeah.
They stir that up so they can win.
I-
So they playing you like a
Man.
string, but they are having fit. I just saw that Orrin Hatch was
Wow.
one of the best friends to Ted Kennedy. They went on trips together. These are two one ultra liberal
What you talking about?
and one conservative.
Opposite
They went on
ends.
trips together. They was at each other's weddings.
Wedding.
They had their sons at each other. They were in sons' weddings. They all did it, and they had a whole story. Both of them dead now, and they could talk about it. But I'm saying
It was
this
cool as
happen
ever.
all the time.
Come on, man.
Why are we always demonizing somebody? And this is the problem,
Okay.
because we get emotional.
Mm.
And it's a business decision for the Jewish community. It's a business decision for the Arab community.
Yes,
Better
sir.
say
It's a
it.
business decision for the gay community.
Better say it.
Last thing I say, because I got to tell
You
this
gotta
story.
go.
I was just here in Detroit. I was at a meeting with 2 Jewish guys. And 2 of them, one of them is a guy, my main man, 100 grand, but he's in real estate. And there's another real estate guy. I met him for the first time, but I heard his name a long time. They in there. When I get to the office, he said, "Come on by." I'm hearing them. And they cussing each other out loud.
Come on.
Loud. When nobody, this is after hours. They going at it. And they go talking about each other's wives and everything, right? So I was like, man, I'm
Like,
coming
damn.
outside. I stand outside, I look in there, I said, I'm gonna just stay outside. And then I see the one dude walk out. He said, "Oh, hi, Kwame, how are you?" And walk out. And I go in the office, I said, "Man, what's up with
Y'all
that?"
good?
I said, "I thought y'all do business together." He said, "We do." He said he walked out around me and hollered down the hall with the guy, said, "The next time we do a deal, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna punch your after the deal." So I go back in and I said, "You gonna do business with him still?"
What?
He said, got real serious. He said, "The guy's good at what he does."
There you go.
He said, "We just did a $50 million deal and he just acted like a butthole." And he said, "We got a $50 million deal we about to close. And if he comes in there like that, I'm got blah, 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 blah." So I'm sitting there like, oh, we end up meeting. I get in the car. I sit in the car behind my steering wheel because I forgot about the cussing.
Yeah, for sure.
But I remembered as these guys looked like they didn't like each other.
What you talking about?
So
Bingo.
much so they talking about each other's wives.
Wives.
Mm.
But they just finished doing a
$50
$50
million
million deal together. And they doing one coming up now for $50 more million. And they definitely gonna work together. I was sitting behind my steering wheel and said, we hate each other because of dude light skin.
Come on, man.
Hold on. I got to add this. A good friend of mine, brother, he always said his uncle would say, "Is the money good? Is the business good?" And that's what he always said. Is the money good? Is the business good?
That's all that
You
matters.
don't have to like a person. You can disagree. If that money's good, let's make that deal. I know you got to go. I got one more question for you. One more
Yes.
before you go. All right. Have you looked at the video where Barack Obama has come out and scolded the brothers about the election?
I did. I finally did watch it.
What's your thoughts?
What's your thoughts on that?
Barack Obama is an icon for our community.
Absolutely.
He's he made the type of history that is so profound that he's immortal even in our community.
Come on.
But he's not everybody's daddy.
Come on, man.
He's not a father of the community.
Uh-oh.
And so when you come out and say stuff like that, there are people who strategically moved him out there because they believe that you're going to listen to him and do what he say.
You done got
Because
deep.
it was him.
You done got deep.
So, and he believed it too. That's why he did it. And now he's coming to Michigan and he's doing a rally for Black people in Detroit because everybody's going to listen to Barack Obama about what they should do with their vote.
Yep.
And what he's proclaiming is that if you don't vote for the Black woman, you hate Black women.
Wow.
And that's like, wait a minute, that's kind of like, whoa, that's a heck of a leap right there.
Yes.
But what I saw on social media is Black men being upset and Black women loving it. That's what spoke more to the problem.
The divide, the great divide.
It automatically, when
Great
you
divide.
do stuff like that, if a Black man sitting in this house said, I don't like her, I don't really want to vote for her.
Oh.
I mean, it ain't really, I just don't see her doing the job, blah, 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 blah. It's not because she's a woman. Because we believe a woman could do that job, but this might not be the woman.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's all.
And that's the problem, because me and my wife had these kind of conversations, and we kind of in the same spot, that this is about who the person that's best in that position that personally we believe would move the ball down the field for the stuff we care about.
That's what we talking about.
And when one candidate talks about programs and stuff, and one candidate talks about expansion of entrepreneurship and really growing small business, getting more access to capital for communities, the more Black people, and I know they ain't trying to get no more programs. We don't need that. Thank you for the free lunch and free breakfast, but if you would give me access to capital, I'd buy my own lunch and breakfast.
There you go.
I can buy
And
mine.
I think the idea that people have about Black people is that we always want to be taken care of.
No.
And there's a certain amount of population in everybody's race like that.
Yeah,
And
but
in
not.
ours too.
Yeah.
But why you think that's the predominant thing? All the Black dudes I know, especially the young cats growing up, they want to be entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
They just trying to figure out a way
How,
to do
where,
it where they can make it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think that the Democratic Party hasn't plugged into yet. It's more of we care about you, and then they start this racist thing. But the younger generation just ain't going for it. You can't just name everybody racist and then we jump on the other side.
No, it doesn't work that way. And so when I saw that, I'm gonna tell you and it's just like you said. I think he tried to use his Black card.
Yeah.
He's going to come out.
Yeah.
See, I will say this, and I will say this to him at any time, that if, in my opinion, if you had did what you were supposed to do,
Yes.
we may have lined up with a blind vote and said, Obama is saying it, I'm rolling with Kamala.
Yes.
We might have said that, but because, I remember
Pushback.
on the south side of Chicago, then and now,
Yes.
all of those young Black boys that get killed every single year, week in, week out. And when it was his time, he did not stand up for those people. I would say this.
No,
They didn't.
He did
not at all.
And I'll tell people that say, hold on, wait a minute.
Not at all.
Now, if I was mayor of Detroit for one day,
Yeah.
and then the data came out, it's a lot of violence around Cooley High School. I'm going to make the call.
We're going to address that area.
We're going to address that area. And I do not appreciate him doing what he did and using that Black card. And you did not support the Black man like you were supposed to when you was in.
It was 700 to 800 murders every year he was there. Started out the first couple of years 600, but for the next 700 to 800 murders, it was the place in all of America where the focused murder rate had almost doubled. And it's a crazy thing that you got the man from there.
From there.
President.
Yes.
And
nothing has been
but
done.
The excuses mostly came from us. Oh, he can't do that. they would say, so what? This is what he has to do for an American city that's under siege like this.
One of your largest cities.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of this stuff you can see, other folks can't see, but they afraid to say because people love Barack Obama so much that you can't say nothing about him, and critically, you can't criticize him at all. And here's the problem with that. You can definitely love Barack Obama. We all love him.
We do.
But at the same time, he was president. Like I was mayor and other people governor. You have to be able to criticize what's happening in a way that brings a reaction to do it. I used to tell people, listen, if y'all don't tell me ain't nothing going on near Cooley, then because these corporate people, they gonna be at my office.
Oh, no doubt.
They gonna say this is what we need.
Okay.
So I got this much money. Do y'all want me to spend it with giving them something downtown, or do I need to build a park over here? Make some noise. I used to go to them community. Y'all better make some noise.
Y'all better say something.
Y'all come down there and march, do something.
Yes,
I don't know what y'all need, but if you crying out from the community, please, Mr. President, come help us. We are under siege in our community. Get these young some people something to do.
Yes,
Put a whole team in there. Do something.
Come on.
Build some more rec centers. Do some after school programs. Do some mental health intervention. Do something.
Yes.
They didn't do it. He had the power to do it.
And we don't want to talk about it.
Listen to me. One thing about it, and I'll say it and I'll say it again, man. You've always been our guy. It don't make a difference. Listen, I'm always gonna call you Mayor Kilpatrick, because once the mayor, always a mayor. And man, listen, we appreciate you coming on the show. He said he's gonna be home by Christmas.
Y'all heard it.
State champion
podcast. Hey, the champ is here.
The champ is here. Yo, so we back. We just wanted to, that's the end of the video. We just cut it. The last little part is nothing else that he said. But I think, G, I want to get right into this. And I'm sure a lot of people, we got a comment right here, G. Somebody said, listen, they said great information.
Yeah, that was cold.
Man, I see this great information. So when we look at this, G, it's so many things I want to tap into. I want to tap into, because I'm sure everybody want to talk about, because everybody said that Kwame was a sellout. He didn't left the Democratic Party.
Appreciate it, Dre.
He didn't went to the Democratic. He left the Democratic Party and went to the Republicans. I want to talk about this because we always talk about loyalty in our communities. I'm going to keep this 100 grand. If somebody cuts you loose, and I don't know how many of y'all been to prison out here, I don't know. But I can tell you, if I had gone, I only worked in the prison, G.
Yeah. You
and I hated to be in there when they mandated us to do another 8 hours after you did your 8 hours. That means you was in there 16 hours. I hated to do that.
66% of your day.
So you telling me that if somebody cut you loose from the rest of your sentence, because he did 9.5, you basically got 20 left. 19.5.
Yeah, you ain't go.
You telling me our community, you wouldn't line up and sing the praises of my man who cut you loose, and you could have did another 20 until you've been in that prison cell, which I was not. I promise you, as a person, they are my guide to the end of time. That don't mean I got to accept everything they do.
No, because I don't accept everything you do.
Yeah, exactly. I sure appreciate that, because I said that earlier about you.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you think about it, G, now he said he's not a Republican
or Democrat.
He's an independent, which is great.
Yeah.
But if he was to side with Donald Trump, how can anybody be mad?
Oh, man.
I'm asking, G, how can anybody be mad if he sided with Donald Trump at this stage? How would people feel? Somebody chime in. I want to hear some comments and hear with some thoughts, because I want to hear this.
Betore anybody says anything, I'm going to say this.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's the crazy thing about it.
Okay.
As we look at, and again, we just had an individual get released from prison himself a couple of weeks ago. And I see how we almost celebrate individuals who've done some things in our community that weren't legal, that weren't beneficial to the community.
Okay.
A lot of our aunties, our mothers, grandmothers have died at the hands of drugs, but yet we celebrate and we hold certain individuals that sold drugs in such high regard.
Mm-hmm.
And they directly have impacted our community.
In a negative fashion.
I can't say that these individuals aren't friends of mine. What I'm telling you is this: the way we celebrate them and the way we hold them in such high regard, we love them to death. And we hold them, we say, man, you know what? That's my guy through and through. Mm-hmm. Somebody has done something for you, and this guy was released from prison, obviously early, much earlier than the sentence indicated. Why wouldn't he have some type of loyalty to this individual? And not even loyalty, at least want to hear this person out. And so now I think it's very contradictory of us and hypocritical of Black people.
For sure.
To act like all of a sudden they're holier than thou, when every time I go to a crime scene or every time I look up, we're telling somebody on a t-shirt, and I see y'all mamas and I see y'all, some of y'all daddies wear t-shirts and say, free George.
Free
George,
G.
Free G. And G committed the damn crime, and you know it. He's lived a life of crime. So when you talk about what we should really be celebrating and what we should be loyal to, and at least give a person a chance, and you can't blame Kwame,
yes, sir,
for at least hearing my man out. He just said it to you right here on State Champions Podcast.
In the basement, baby.
Hey, man, I ain't a Republican, I ain't a Democrat. And this the crazy thing about it. Y'all haven't seen him on a commercial.
Haven't seen him on a commercial.
You haven't seen him on a commercial with this guy. And if you think that him being on a commercial wouldn't sway some voters, then you lying to your damn self. So
I want to add this, G, because I like to see one thing about you about your man. I like to run down some facts on some things.
Yeah,
so G, think about this.
Research Ralph.
Yeah. Research Ralph is in the building. So think about this, G. Seriously. This is just one thing. And I like to go deep in terms of the research.
Yep.
So you had the 1994 crime bill, and I know people, 1994 crime bill, that was a different time and a different era. I get it. I understand. I'm not going into the 1994 crime bill. But it sent a lot of Black men to prison. This is a fact. The 1994 crime bill, according to the Congressional Review Board in 1997, they said that the 1994 crime bill was racially motivated. That is a fact, people. That's a fact. So then when we talk about prison reform, do you know who was responsible for getting prison reform into play? Gee, that's a question, because I know you texting that, and I see you got people. But think about it. I know you responded, but do you know who was instrumental in prison reform in terms of getting people time cut?
What do you mean? The Republican Party.
No, see, it's one thing. See, that would be misleading if you say just the Republican Party.
Specifically who?
In 2018, you had Donald Trump who did that. And at that time, it basically overturned the 1994 crime bill. Check the records up. If you say I'm lying, just chime in. Be like, Ralph, you don't know what you're talking about, but I promise you I did the research on this. So he came up with him, and it wasn't him. It was some guys who came to him and they said, listen, we need to do something about this. And he signed it into, he got called this guy. Hey man, we need y'all to sign this into law and on the books, because we got a lot of nonviolent people who are locked up and incarcerated that should be home now. I'm giving you factual numbers. 30,000 people were released under that. It was called Step Forward. Okay. And so when you think about that 30,000 people, do you know how many were Black men? If you take a wild guess, G, we got you on the clock right now. How many? What do you think the number percentage wise
out of 30,000?
Out of 30,000.
I'm willing to at least say 66% of those, at least 20,000.
You say 66%? Dang, G, that's a great number, but I'm gonna tell you, G.
Don't say it was 23,000.
Well, I'm just gonna give you the percentage. This is according to the DOJ, 92% were black men. 92% were black men. So you heard Kwame say about throwing this word around racism and how it comes out and everybody jumps on one side, our people particularly. And they say, well, dang, racism. But I don't know so much. I cannot sit here and say personally that I know that Donald Trump is a racist. I can't say that because I don't know him personally, but I do know based upon this criminal justice reform and step forward program, 30,000 people released and 92% were black men. Wow. That is a fact. So when you hear that, I just look at the whole thing and I'm just giving information.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just giving information because I like to give great information. But let's think about that for a minute.
I think something that Kwame said,
is
something that people need to look at. And I've said this before too. What Trump and a lot of other people have done is created an atmosphere this is a business.
It's a business decision, baby.
To garner votes. And so there was a pocket of America. Anytime you look at rural America, and whenever you ride through Ohio, and you ride through rural Ohio all the time, Indiana, you go on these AAU trips and you say, God, these people are poor. Why are they voting for Trump? Why are they so heavy for Trump? Because he's a rich guy and he's really trying to appease to rich people. Okay. What he's done is said, you know what? I'm going to create this atmosphere that make you think that maybe I hate these people over here, and people have jumped on that. That is gaining him votes.
No, it's funny. And I'm pissed because Kwame, that day he had to get out of here.
Yeah.
But he talked about this. Me and him had a conversation about how when he was with the Democratic Party, they would conjure up stories to get people to dislike the other side and to back them. This is a real thing. I was like, yo, this is crazy. But this is it's politics, is what the people say. It's called politics. But G, let's go to something else. I want to talk about this. He talked about specifically, he said this. Him and his wife discussed what's going on now. And it's not that people don't want to vote for a woman, especially black men.
Yeah.
It's not that we don't want to vote for a woman. He said maybe she may not be the woman for this time.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that? Do you think, and I'm asking you, obviously live on air, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think she is the woman for this time in this space, given the climate of what's going on?
I can say this. My sons and I talk about this regularly. And, obviously my 14-year-old daughter, she goes on what has been stated to her, and she's a girl. So she like woman.
Yes.
But my sons and I are talking about it, and obviously you and I and other people, I think a lot of people have some reservations because of some of the policies and some of the things that she stood on.
Yeah, for sure.
So
or lack of policies,
or whatever the case may be. And so what you're looking at, and I think some people, and our boy D said it best, he said, some people are looking at, okay, what's the lesser of two evils? If I have to vote, what am I going to vote on? And I think if it has to be a woman, okay, is she the woman for this time? I don't know. And I'm still trying to find this out. And I can say that she hasn't convinced me.
I about to say, you only got a few more days, brother.
Well, I understand that. We got 6, you know what I'm saying? Probably 5.5. Yeah. And I got to get it early. I think that, people say, well, you just got to do this because she is. Well, not necessarily so. But what I do know is, what I'm thinking is, my man he creates an environment. When you look at some of the people, some of the things that he said, and when you look at the other day, the thing at Madison Square Garden, and I told my son the other day, hey man, my man you see what he's on, and you see what his people is on. I think it's not even him. And I
absolutely not.
I think it's not him. I think what it is the people around him and some of his supporters are making this thing where it's almost like, shit, you're scaring me. You're scaring me.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big problem for American, especially for Black people, because if we look at all that's going on with the police department and some of our Black individuals, and some people are like, well, he said this and we're not going to do this. Yeah, it frightens some people. And some of the things that have gone on violently and some of the things that have been said by some of those people in white America, it frightens us. And there's been an environment that's been created, an atmosphere that's been created that frightens some people. And that's what's scaring a lot of people off from him, definitely.
You know, and the thing is, and I get it, and sometimes some people, delivery ain't the best.
Yeah,
Some people deliveries are not the best, and I'm not telling you to vote for. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing and listening at, and I get it. The New York thing that happened, and you had the comedian. He said
Central Park 5.
Yeah, and all the Central Park 5 and all those things, and things happen. You know what I'm saying? But hey,
I feel you, Dre.
And Dre, let me see. Dre said Dre. Then I said Dre said
her to him.
Dre said, okay, see
Dre
one
like,
thing.
Man,
all right, Dre, I like to see one thing I love about conversation and
Kate Stevens, what's good?
And everybody having their opinions. And this is what I want, especially for Black people. And I'm going to get to this Obama comment in a minute and what I said. Regardless of what happens, if your mother, your brother, your cousin decide they're going to vote for Donald Trump, that's cool. And if your mother, brother, your cousin decide they're going to vote for Kamala Harris, that's cool. I don't think you should be divided amongst the group. We should not be divided, but see, this is part of the trickery. This is part of the trickery.
We get so emotional.
And we get so emotional. Kwame said this. We get very, very emotional and we get uptight. Now, you think about this. Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick, he was our guy. I don't care what you say. At once, if you didn't like him, then like they say, the kids say, you a hater. But when he was in office, you have to realize he was our guy.
Yep.
He said when he go to these meetings, he said this is the new philosophy that he's developed over the years. He said, but he was dealing with the Republican Party a long time ago. But he also said this: we should be going to Democratic meetings and Republican meetings. And one person should come out and say, Ralph, this is what they said in the Democratic meeting. And G, this is what they said in the Republican meeting. He said it was multiple groups in those meetings. Jewish, Asian, you talking about LGBTQ. He said there was a number of people in those meetings. He said, you know who wasn't there? Black folk.
Us.
So when you think about that, in our time, in our space, we have to think about this. We've been told, my mother, everybody said, listen, the Republicans are bad. Democrats are good. Well, if we only know one side and we not hearing the other side, are you really making an informed decision? You can't be making an informed decision if you don't have all the information.
Well, we've been trained. And Danielle Knight, Danny Gold, my bad. She said the comedian at his rally really expressed how he feels about minorities. And again, there's some accuracy there, Danielle. But I think, again, we've been trained to just think a certain way generationally.
Oh, for sure. That's the thing.
The independent thinking Black person is always looked at like, wait a minute. And so we've experienced this, from the time we met at 14 years old. And again, because you have your own mind, and you say, hold on, wait a minute here. Let me think about this. But you got to be able to sit down and think what is best for us in totality without being blinded by, well, these are Democrats. Because again, I want you Black people to understand this. We were Republican before we were ever Democrat. And I want you to think about Frederick Douglass back in the day. And again, I'm not coming off something that I just thought of.
Yeah, of course. No doubt.
Historically, we were Republicans because, again, we didn't want handouts. And what we've done is accepted handouts. And when people give you something, they want something in return.
Ooh.
I always remember that.
You want me to tell you who started this handout?
Come on.
LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson. That ain't LeBron James. So what? So I'm gonna piggyback on that, G.
Yeah.
When you think about this, And you mentioned the Republican Party and where we was at a certain time, and always people say, "Hey, Ralph,
Yeah.
listen to me, man. That was a long time ago."
Uh,
But y'all go do your research on this. If I'm lying to you, then you inbox me. You ain't got to inbox me. Do it live on Facebook, whatever you decide you want to do. LBJ said, I'm going to put in certain things. Civil Rights Act of 1964.
yeah.
And once I do certain things, now you got to remember,
Oh,
he had a proverbial gun to his head. He had to do what he had to do at that time. He had no intention of that. And he said, I'll have black people voting Democrat for the next 200 years. My only point in saying that is,
no, hold on, wait a second. I need you to understand.
I might exaggerate it. He may have said the next 100 years or something.
Oh, you did.
And so when you think about that, and I promise you, I'm only sharing information because I want people to have information.
Yeah.
So you mentioned handouts and those things. Kwame said in the interview in part 2 on State Champions Podcast, he said they think that we just want handouts. We don't want handouts. We want opportunities. And we ain't talking about fake opportunities, talking about real opportunities.
Real opportunity.
So we can do what we need to do as a collective. And make it for our people, because you have to think. So the facts are Jewish community, Arab community,
ain't no question.
Asian community. All these communities have their things going on. We have to do something different. And we cannot continue to want these handouts. We got to say, hold on, wait a minute now. Yeah. We got to do a little something different. Absolutely. And so now, because we have, and don't get me wrong, and VP Harris and what she's doing, but the point of it is not her.
No.
She's just not ready for the time, in my opinion. Yeah. I think this.
Okay.
Her policies.
I don't think
she don't even really have any.
Really and truly, probably need to redo this whole thing and see if
so you telling me if they redo the whole thing, should it be me and you going?
Hey, you remember we had our heads on the thing.
We should probably do it. But no, I want to say this and just addressing and just one couple of things that she said. But one of the things she mentioned was about having, they're going to build 3 million new homes, and they're going to get $25,000 to the first-time home buyers. Well, first things first. Number one, the federal government has nothing to do with homes being built in this country. That's left up to the states. That's a fact. Number two, if you give $25,000 to first-time home buyers in a scarce market, it is going to drive prices up. It's going to create inflation. So then that is not a logical approach. I only learned that, people. Raphael is pretty smart, but I learned that from some independent people that looked at her policy and they said, this is not going to work. So I just wanted to say that, but G, go ahead, because I know you want to add something. We're going to get to the Obama comment.
Well, you know what? I think before we get to the Obama comment,
go ahead, keep going.
I'm looking at some of our people,
what they
family talking. Y'all go back. Let's look at the integration segregation.
Oh yeah, that was cold.
Look at the integration segregation episode, and I think it's going to dive into some of the things we're talking about right now.
Yeah, for sure.
But, Ralph, let's go into the Obama comment and let's think about, again. We're going to get out of here, y'all, but
give us a minute. Give us a minute. This was tight.
Yeah, understand this too. We're going to keep our eyes and ears open. We're going to listen to each other. We're going to think about some thoughts. But honestly, here we go. We back in Vice President Harris, and we backed President Obama. Again, a legend in our eyes, the first black president.
Yeah, he said that.
But in all honesty, what can we say? How can we say we really benefited from that?
Well, G, great question, obviously. And from where we're at as a whole, we have not really benefited, in my opinion,
from any of
in the totality of the group. Because we cannot, you came in today and you started talking about the little kid that was just shot. not too far from here because they was looking for the young man. And a baby was shot. How old was the baby?
We had a 9-year-old girl shot.
Okay, 9-year-old girl shot.
And a 3-year-old shot.
9-year-old, 3-year-old shot. My point in just sharing that is this, is that we are not progressing. We're going in reverse. Okay. And so we had, and listen, Kwame Kilpatrick said it best. Barack Obama was, he's immortal. You can't, it's nothing you can say against Barack. But when he decided he was going to chastise us, and I'm gonna get to that, but he was in the spot. Okay. And I just don't feel like, for me personally, he did enough. People say, well, Raphael, he was the president of the whole United States, and they was going to block his stuff. But wait a minute. It ain't no sense of me putting you in here if you can't get nothing done.
Can't get nothing done for me.
And I thought that you can go, and if you're supposed to be
at least
bipartisan, nonpartisan, you're supposed to be go across the aisle and say, listen, man, what's going on in my hometown? Well, not my hometown, but where I came from, Chi-Town. Yeah, we need to do something. Whether they pass the bill or not, I'm gonna try. That's all I'm saying.
You're right.
So going back to the comment of Barack Obama and how he tried to chastise black men, it is so unfortunate that he thought that he could do that, and we was going to say, oh, okay, we're gonna roll with you. But Kwame said it best, brother. You ain't the father of the community.
No.
Because you know what? No. You ain't been in the community.
You ain't been there.
You were a public figure, and you didn't stand, as the kids say, you ain't standing on business. And when you allow somebody to force you not to say certain things about your people, and that's a whole nother issue. But gee, that's just my take on it. How do you feel about the Obama comment?
Well, you know, he was very transparent. And I think when you look at it, I think the irony of that conversation and the question that was asked and him talking about it was he was the one before Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you think about it, he was the guy. So he was very, very true about his feelings, but he was very accurate in his assessment. And I think when you look at it, there's no way coming out of Chicago. And you know, his celebration was at Grant Park.
Oh, Grant Park.
When President Obama was elected, you look at it, he was truly embracing Chicago. And he said it, I'm from Chicago. But the harsh reality of it is he did nothing for those people. And he probably rode the backs of those people all the way to the White House. You know, it is what it is. Man, Rob, here you go. What's happening?
Oh, we got a comment. We're gonna put it up because one thing about it, we ain't running from nothing, not Dooley. She read that comment. Who is that from?
Man, Robbie Rice, my brother, Wickham Ave in the building, Pilgrim and Midland. Bullshit. Our black boys can not only dream, but know they can actually be president. Kwame's a mental midget. He allowed them to get after him over a side piece and a navigator. Well, again, you know, hey, Rob, you know we will, man. You my guy. But here we are. Yeah, our children can look and say, you know what? I can become the president of the United States. And the one thing I would say, if my sons, if either of them become the president of the United States, the one thing I'm going to tell them, which you would tell your sons, you better damn sure do something for your people.
Gee, I'm gonna add into that, and that's perfect, G. One thing about it. See, one thing about a dream, you are typically asleep when it's a dream. That's number one. Number two, here's my thing. If the brother, in terms, and we talking about Barack Obama, he has, to your point, you have to do something for your people.
Yeah, you better.
And you have no other choice because they do things for their people
that's
all the time.
That's what I was
and I'm going to give you an example, Brother Rob, of how they do things. And people say, well, wait a minute, Rob. He was the president of all people, and you can't do certain things. I'm going to take for an example and this is factual information. You take it to the bank and you can cash it in the morning. When they say they can't do nothing for a specific group, that's a bona fide lie.
No question.
When they came up with the Asian hate bill, and I promise you this, I don't have no problem with them having an Asian hate bill, but it was based upon 2019 numbers.
Yep.
And I believe it was 76 people were assaulted, Asians, for obviously their culture and who they were.
Yep.
And in 2020, that number rose from 76 to 279. On the scale, I think it rose to like 77%. And I'm going to stay on point, Brother Rob. And then that very same year, 2019, 1,930 black people were assaulted or killed because of the color of their skin. And in 2020, that number rose to 2,871. Those are actual numbers. Go to the FBI database. The FBI said, there was no other group that was targeted for their race more than black folk. I don't have a problem with you having the Asian hate bill, but you also have to have a black hate bill. So, Brother Rob, what you're saying is cool. But what I'm trying to tell you is this. Our boys, I don't want them dreaming. I want them in action. And just because they did certain things, those things are not absolutely, in terms of Obama, they ain't always true. Dreaming, because you got to remember now, you got to do something for your people. And I don't care what anybody says, you have to stand up when you're there and you are in the position, because our ancestors are required us to do those things. But go ahead.
Got to.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what, Kenya said Obama shut up on a lot of things when he could have done something. You know, and again, we're not here to bash anybody. We just here to state our facts. 2019, 2020 is when Obama lost me during the entire issue. And again, he lost a lot of people because we were waiting on something. You know, if Rav, you know, decides that he's going to buy McDonald's, man, I at least want to have my kids should be able to get some fries half off every now and again.
Or what? But at least if Rav opened up a McDonald's, you should be on the other side of town telling people
get some employment, something.
Somebody got to be able to say, hey,
yeah,
your family should be, hey, you know, my man Rav got the McDonald's.
Our children,
we got to go support him.
Our young men and women are being killed at an alarming rate while he was there. And again, I can't say that's not because of him. But what I'm telling you is, I didn't see him do a damn thing about it. And that's, I think, what alarms me the most. At least if you're going to have blood on the ground, you better be damn near on the ground with it. And you better try to do something about it. And again, his whole celebration was at Grant Park in the city of Chicago.
In the city of Chicago. And hold on.
And after the
hold
celebration,
on, keep yourself. It's Chicago.
It's Chicago.
Not the fancy, because it's like, see, when we in the D, all of a sudden it went from Lasher to Losser. Yeah. Come on, man, y'all killing me. G is Lasher, man. See, this is but keep
it. Rap had Scott.
Man, listen, G, it was I never, when we was at Cooley, I never heard you say, man, we going on 7 Mile and Losser. I never heard you say that.
You say what's going on last year either. We didn't live by last year, man. We didn't live by last year.
We might have been going somewhere, but you never said that. But okay, go ahead, keep your thoughts. It's Lasher, and I ain't getting fancy. See, this is what happened. See my man up here with these thick glasses on. He think he clever, like he, you know, one of these professors. But okay, go ahead. Go back to your Obama thing. Go ahead.
My man did nothing for that city that supported him, that embraced him. And after it's all said and done, when we get in a position of empowerment, we got to do something to help our families, and we got to do something to help our people. That's the only thing that we're saying. So, again, great points. I'm with you. And again, as Kenya said, cuz you made a great point. We're not here to bash him, but he didn't do anything to help the city of Chicago, and he didn't really do anything to help our people. And so, if next Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, this sister gets in office, my expectation, and I said my expectation is not what I think, it's not what I hope for. My expectation is she does something to help her people, and she don't turn her back.
Well, I'm hopeful of that. Well, you know, I can't let this slide, G. I have to say this. Explain to me, G, how is it that our people is when somebody questions her ethnicity and they say, well, is she black? Is she South Asian? Oh, we know that she black. Here's my question to all those people. Why is it that we are claiming her blackness, but she's not? I need you to answer that for me, G.
I don't think the truth needs to be justified. I slapped my son one day in the chest. One day, him and his friend was in the backseat of the car. This is a true story. Him and his friend was in the backseat of the car, and the friend was like, man, you 8 years old. And G was like, no, I'm 7. And they went back and forth 3 times. And I turned around, I slapped my son in his chest so hard. I said, man, don't you ever argue with somebody about what the hell you know is true about yourself. So I think for the sister, I mean, she went to Howard University. And again, black people are the only people in the world that can reproduce themselves with anybody. So I don't even think this is really an issue. I think this is really a distraction. This is
I agree, G. I agree there's a distraction.
This is my man trying to do. I don't care. So
but
what would make her black?
But see, my thing is, G.
Somebody colored.
But see, my point of it is, G, is this. See, I don't have a problem either way. But
no, you don't.
How come us as black folk
what you wanted
are standing up for her blackness, but she did not claim it? That's a question.
I think if that sister stood up and said, you know what, I am black.
That'll end their campaign?
For me, what the hell? If somebody say, hey, you know what, George is part of the. If somebody say George is not black, I'm not gonna stand up. I'm not gonna get on State Champions podcast and say yes, I am a black. I'm not gonna bring on my birth.
No, that's not. No, I think you missing my point. Let's hear me out. 2016 Senate, and they said the first woman of Asian descent to be part of the Senate. I can promise you this, G. If somebody said and introduced me as, and just say, right, I was at Cooley High School, and I was at Redford first, and I went to Cooley.
Yep.
And somebody said, guy who attended Cooley High School, I would correct it and say, I also went to Redford too, if I want to claim that. Yeah. If somebody only introduced Raphael Peterson and said, the son of Juanita Peterson, I got to say, well, not only the son of Juanita, also Keith Henry. I gotta do that.
This isn't that. What they've done, they attacked her blackness.
But what do you mean they attacked her blackness? I need you to explain to me what you're saying.
How does she substantiate her blackness for people, though? What is she going to say?
Well, first of all,
you can look at her. She ain't Asian.
Oh, but wait a minute. Whether you Asian or not, brother, if somebody calls you Asian and wait a minute. I think you're not hearing what you're saying.
I hear.
You want me to pull up the video when she say the first woman of South Asian descent?
Well, listen. Well, again, we understand the game, and
no. I understand the game.
And a lot of things she's done has been for political gain and all of that. I ain't tripping on that.
But if she said, G, all I'm asking the question, I'm gonna go back to my question.
Right.
If she stood on South Asian descent and she didn't correct nobody, what makes us correct people for her?
Man, that ain't about to be my correction, and that ain't my point. What I'm telling you is,
okay, I'm listening.
At Chapel Hill Missionary Baptist Church, somebody said George was a girl. Now, I'll never get this. My old dude was like, man, he ain't never cutting his hair. We born in 1970, you know the deal. So I'm 3 years old. They say he's a girl.
Okay.
As a 3-year-old young man, I respond in a way where I got to justify me being a male. So I showed the people in the nursery school that I was a male. I don't expect her to have to do that because as a 3-year-old boy, I thought just as that. For her, I don't even think she has to answer questions as far as that's concerned. She's in a black sorority,
and
she went to HBCU.
Hold on, I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna stop you there. You know how many white women went to HBCUs, brother, and was played sororities?
Well, no.
No. So then let me just say this, and I'm gonna stay on task because you cannot allow people to get off the hook. My only question, I'm gonna go back to it again.
Uh-huh.
Why is it that we are claiming her blackness and she is not?
I can't say that she's not claiming her blackness, and I'm not.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you, when I really, if I had time to pour this up on air, I would. Gee, she's never claimed it. And here's to my point. She said the first woman of South Asian descent. She could have said that and said, and of black. She could have said that.
Okay.
But she never did. All I'm asking is, G, and you keep on, you keep on going like this on me, man. I'm trying to figure out, of course you don't have to justify as a little boy that because you got curly hair that you're a boy, because certain things are what they are, because all you gotta do is pull down your pants, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I did.
I figured that. I ain't know the story, but I figured that's what you did because I know you. Yeah. But to the point is,
come on, man.
Did somebody come behind and be like, hey, man, don't y'all say nothing against George? Because at the end of the day, Joe, why did you do that? Why did you pull down your pants?
I had to justify. I got tired of him. I got tired of people saying it.
That's all.
My hair was too long.
Oh, she ain't tired of it then.
She can't be. Well, I wouldn't. If somebody said George ain't black, I wouldn't care if somebody kept saying that. I wouldn't bother. Some people have called me light skinned. I know I'm not light skinned. I don't have to.
But G, I would say this to you, and we got to get ready to get out of here. G, all I'm saying to you is, in 2016, if they make the intro, George Ward of South Asian descent, what would you say?
Oh no, they ain't gonna say that. Well, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna allow them to say that. You absolutely.
Well, but if you were of South Asian descent, that's not an issue.
Yeah, right.
But if you also say, well, my old dude was, black, that's okay too.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying. I don't really care one way or another, but all I'm saying is this is part of the trickery. And you have to go, this is part of the trickery. And then they say, hey, black men, y'all got to vote for her because she's black. And black women, y'all got to vote for her because she's black.
Yeah.
That's cool. But don't she got to claim it? Because remember, G, just because you went to HBCU, because you
ain't no question.
See, black is a culture.
Ain't no
black
question.
Is a culture.
Well, then you could eliminate a lot of people. Then,
but I'm just saying,
right.
black is. I agree 1,000%. She ain't cooked no collard greens and put them in the tub, brother. I can tell you one thing that ain't true. See, y'all got to do y'all listen to mainstream, brother. Y'all got to go deep. Do some deep dive.
We appreciate y'all.
Yeah, we got to get out of here.
Man, my man does.
No, I'm just saying, that's what she said. No, listen, G, you got to remember. She said that. I was like, yo, what is she talking about?
What? She had to try to justify. Maybe that wasn't the correct.
So we got it. So we're gonna go with the justification, and we're gonna accept it as true. Just like they said when you took that test in school, and they said, "Who discovered America?" You said Christopher Columbus.
I did.
You got it wrong.
And my old dude didn't let me watch Tarzan, but it is what it is.
So what we gonna do, man? We gotta make some change. But anyway, G, State Champions Podcast. Kwame Kilpatrick, former Detroit mayor, part 2. Maybe it was amazing. We probably need it.
Maybe future Detroit mayor.
Man, that would be crazy. That would be outstanding.
What you mean? We're gonna have him in the basement again.
We gonna get him in the basement.
Somebody else. We probably have it somewhere else then too by then.
No, we can still have it in the basement because the basement is like that comfortability. You know what I mean? It's comfortable. Hey, make sure y'all tell a friend, like our podcast. Subscribe, YouTube, IG, TikTok, where else?
All that.
Follow us on Facebook. We got too many friends on Facebook. We supposed to have 2,000-3,000.
Y'all really demonic though.
Why are they demonic?
There's no way y'all haven't subscribed. There's no way that we don't have at least 3,000 people subscribe to the podcast. Y'all, come on now. Let's do what we're supposed to do. It's edutainment at its finest. Edutainment at its finest. Y'all need to tune in. Nobody's had the guests that we've had, and I know there's some people who think they're doing a great job. And there's a lot of great podcasts out here, but none like this. People, politics, community, and culture. We out of here.
The champ is here. The champ is here.